from sunny Southern California. This is the podcast from the International Broadcast Headquarters and AbelJosephson.com. Here now is your host, Abel Josephson.
So this heaven and earth, I'm going to look at it again, but here I want to do a little breakdown of the big picture in the Bible book. Heaven and earth are created in verse 1. In the beginning, the spoken word is in the beginning. For in the beginning is the Word, and the Word is with God, and the Word is God. What is the beginning of anything? Words you speak. Heaven and earth are created in verse 1. Everything after that is the excavation and the examination of what was created. Created is a past tense word. It does not say, and the Bible is spiritually specific, doesn't say, in the beginning God decided to create heaven and earth, and this is how it is created. No. It says they were created. They're already present, just like everything is present within you when you get here. Heaven and earth are created in verse 1 in the beginning, and the spoken word is the beginning of everything. Remember, in the beginning of everything is the spoken word. Your words from your warm, moist mouth. In the beginning, in the Genesis, the generation of everything that you know as you and the judgment you have about what you have drawn on your personal canvas. In the beginning is the speech and the speaking from your heart. And you can forget all about, and remember, there's two sides to your heart, one that thinks it's good and one that thinks it's bad. You can forget all about everything written in your Dusty Family Bible book about what is the creation in terms of planets and earth and sun, moon, and stars and all that. That is just a parable. And all that matters is your very own everyday speech and speaking, every idle word and every major outburst. It doesn't matter. Every sound that comes out in everyday language for whatever use or purpose that you deliver it for, this is the word that is God. You can quote scriptures. That's not God. It doesn't come from your living heart based on revelations and knowledges that are working within you. In the beginning, God created two sides, heaven and earth. What is spoken created two understandings about how you are. I'm good, but I'm also bad. That's heaven and earth. Two judgments of the total of all that you are and are experiencing. What you speak judges who and what you are. What you speak judges and creates the eye you look through in the natural world. It doesn't matter. It's all formulated by words. It has all come by everything that you have said and will say in everyday life. Chatting with your friends accomplishes the creation of the generation of the judgment of one or the other. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and so we are not dealing with the creating of anything. The Bible picks up in verse 1 with the results of what was created. But it caused us a problem inside, so now we're going to examine it. And we're going to fix the problem. That's what the whole Bible is about. One thing with two sides. Just like your body shares two sides, two arms, two legs, two eyes, and on. And they are conjoined one with another. You can't cut somebody down the middle and survive. You take out half the brain. Physically, it doesn't work. Why? Spiritually, do we try to sever ourselves? Two things joined in the middle, and they are two, yet share heart, tongue, liver, etc., vital organs. They have a common core that feeds the both sides. Heaven and earth are created, and in the first few chapters we see what was created, separated, and it is examined. Now, heaven is not examined. Ever notice that? It had form and shape. It was not void. Heaven is not examined, as it appears that it is the supplier of the other side. The earth, and this is true, the earth is supplied by heaven, but heaven has a problem. It wants no contact with the other side, and in fact, really doesn't want the other side involved in its own life, and never wants to hear from earth. Wasn't that your Christian experience? I want this bad side to be cast out and to submit to the Word of God and to be a slave and to be, oh my God. All of this is you. You want what you think are love, patience, kindness, goodness, mercy, and all of that to be associated with heaven and to be associated with you. You so want to have the heaven testimony, and you want to be all of that and a bag of chips, but in fact, all of these so-called fruits of the Spirit are for the nourishment and the seeding of all that your earth is. And in fact, you want to know what the truth is? That word of those that brings forth those fruits are not going to come from heaven. They're going to come from the voice given to the earth called Jesus. When you go through the Bible, you see all the components that are within this man, this heaven and earth, this father with two sons, this Adam, or this father who has two separate judgments and understandings of himself. You see him come back to his senses, and at the end of the book, you see statements like this: "Behold, I saw a new heaven and a new earth." And who says, "I see a new heaven and a new earth"? The Father that you are, that fathered both sides of you. The Father, this is looking through the Father's eyes. He sees them both different now. Same heaven and earth, seen different. I see a new one. Oh, I see it totally different now. And neither of the sons in that prodigal son story that I've mentioned a few times during this, neither of those sons, the son that stayed in the house and the prodigal son, neither one of them actually know and understand the Father that brought them forth. Just as most do not see and know that they are fathering all that they are by everyday speech and speaking language. For they don't know how they have fathered who and what they are in their own eyes. But what they said brought seeds to the woman Eve, their mind, and she gave birth to the reality. All right, so back to these prodigal sons and this father. The sons don't know why they are like they are. Heaven doesn't know why he is like heaven. Earth doesn't yet know why he is like earth. They don't know the mother of the two. Heaven and earth don't know the high priest. They don't know who Jacob and his sons are. They don't know who Ishmael and his sons are. They don't know the 12 disciples and who they are as a part of who and what they are. They don't know who the apostle, prophet, pastor, teacher, and evangelist are. They don't know anything about who and what they are. The Father doesn't even know until the day comes and he knows. And when he sees who and what he is and why his sons are like they are, then he welcomes the prodigal back in. Who ran the prodigal off? The prodigal? Nope, the Father. Why does he see a new heaven and a new earth? He is seeing this Father sees it. He is seeing this from the Father point of view. From the father of the house, now looking at the prodigal sons with a new eye. He doesn't blame the children for themselves. He blames the children on himself. He gets it. And when a person's eyes are opened and they see these people within them playing these roles within them, when this is known, the whole Bible book opens, but not until you accept the truth and are made free from all that keeps you from seeing truth, which is you and what you say about yourself. Knowing you and knowing the truth about you teaches that Bible to you, and it's not the other way around. I've lived on both sides of it. I speak from experience. But looking at the book to study and be experts on the characters in the Dusty Family Bible Parable Bedtime Story book is just that. You can know all about those characters and yet still be deaf, dumb, and blind who and what you are. Heaven and earth are what man is and what man is made of. He is perfect because he is everything that can be known on a spectrum of good and bad. Heaven and earth and on. Both are valuable in the knowledge realm. Adam is heaven and earth. He is only called man when earth is revealed, set apart, and recognized. You ever notice? Earth is all given everything that it's given and seen and brought out, and then it's called man. And man is created after the image of God. Well, what did man create? Heaven and earth. When earth is set apart and recognized and given all the tools, you will never come into perfection in your own eyes until that happens, by the way. And when that does happen, perfection will come to you. You'll understand that this stuff I thought was bad is not imperfection. It is not corruption. It's part of the deal. I'm perfect when who I am is both of what I am. By what we speak in everyday life, we are displaying in our own eyes and ears all that heaven and earth are, two opposite extremes. And it's within us all. We are everything, everything. Why would we seek to dissolve a world where anything that can be, we are? Why would we want to dismantle the knowledge of everything possible in the spectrum of knowledge from A to Z? Heaven and earth are man, created by what is spoken. Life and death are created by what is spoken. Heaven and earth are in the power of the tongue. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Two opposites. The tongue and the word produces everything that you could ever want or not want. Either way, the amazing thing is, the amazing thing is the word brings it all about, and the judgment of what is created is formed and called the name by the words we speak. So we marvel at the words and the power in our words, and we quit worrying about what is created by them. We don't worry about the creation. We're blown away by the Creator. So therefore, we're not wrong. This is the doings of words. And we are the captain of those words. Heaven and earth are man, called Adam. The first thing that he gets to see is his own mind. Heaven and earth are man, called Adam. And the first thing he gets to see is his own mind, Eve. She is brought forth for him to meet and to see. A revelation comes from within the man. Wow, he comprehends his own mind. Adam, heaven and earth, knows a knowledge center now that he can relate to. His own mind. Guess what? We even see Adam and the woman, his mind, speaking back and forth. Do you yet walk in this realm where your mind and the man or the voice that you are has a relationship and even an open outward conversation? I challenge you to this. He sees his mind, the womb of all that he will father and all that he will see to give birth to. What happens here is what happens in you when you realize that what you speak brings forth children or new revelations or understandings or what are called the sons of God, and the Word is God. And the Word will produce more words that bring forth more understanding than what the seed itself spoke. Okay, so we have a man now with a wife who feeds off of the man's voice. She calls this voice her husband, and she can't wait to hear his words, to have her womb open, for the mind is barren until the words come to seed and bring forth understandings or sons of God. So a father, now we have Abraham. This is the denotation of the name of this father. Who is the father? Adam. And what does the father bring forth? Jacob and Ishmael, two sons, heaven and earth, Jew and Gentile, one accepted, one cursed. Now we're getting somewhere. What happens to the two sons? They go to war, and the Jew wants to extinguish all of the enemies or all of that which is Ishmael and everything that the earth is. And so they are at constant war, constant separation. Who is the knowledge of good and evil? Heaven. I want good and evil separate, and I want evil away from me. Now, we've got to go on and see what else is within us, that is who and what we are. Then this father meets somebody on his road and journey. And this father meets someone from within him he never knew. First he met his wife. That was a revelation to man, their mind. Now he meets a father. I'm a father. I father all of this. Well, he's waking up. This is all the progression of Adam waking up from the sleep that he brought onto himself by what he spoke. So he comes to something called Melchizedek, the high priest. The high priest, although we have been told many flamboyant stories about how divine and holy and blah, 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 and we've decorated our little Christmas tree annually with all the colors of the priestly robes to represent the high priest and a blah, 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 blah. Let me open up your eyes here. We have a man who knows his mind. He knows the father that he is. This father has two sides, heaven and earth, Jacob and Ishmael, and he must govern both. So he needs to make decisions, doesn't he? So in the Bible, the decision maker is formed within him and brought forth. Abraham stands face to face with the revelation of his ability to decide on a matter, to have decision-making power. And he appears, this high priest, this Prince of Peace, He appears and he is a revelation to Adam. I decide what gets to be spoken. That's all the high priest is that you are, is the one in you that decides what will be brought to God face to face. What knowledge will be brought to the ability to be spoken at the altar, which is the tongue. It's you deciding what I will say and what I will not say. You're the ones that decide what you speak and say. And that's all the high priest is, your ability to pick and choose what will be taken from your will inside of you to be given to your word, and the word is God. The high priest decides what will be given into God power, word power, so that your will for yourself and your two sons and your wife Eve, your mind, and for the Jacob and the Ishmael within you, you will decide what will be spoken about them, to them, from you, by you, according to your will. Now, the high priest decides what is presented to be spoken from your will so you can govern and teach your sons. Heaven and earth, what? He's the prince. Prince always means teacher. Teacher of peace. Now, the true high priest is the prince, which is a teacher. The high priest is the part of you that decides what you will say to teach, to make peace in your own house between heaven and earth, between the two sons. Now, man, heaven and earth, he knows his mind. That's there. He has a relationship with her. That's there. He is a father now. He gets that. And a husband now. His voice is what the mind becomes one with. His ability to make choices about his own life appears, the high priest. And the words that he will speak will bring life to all that is within him. And he sees the decision power that he has. The high priest has appeared. Now Moses, he is his own high priest. His brother Aaron. And that high priest says you can only bring to the altar proof that you are a sinner and dirty, and that must be put to death. That's what that high priest does. I'll get into all that later. I want to do something on the high priest. Got to. But you get it. The high priest is only allowed for the heaven's side, and this is Moses. The Moses wanting to keep heaven from earth comes out with a rule, thou shalt not touch the unclean thing. In other words, this high priest of Moses is going to only bring things to the altar that will speak of heaven, and anything else will be put to death. So by a decision maker in the Father, in Adam, he decides to leave the earth's son alone and not help him, not give him a voice, and cast this Gentile, this leper, away from him, and warns everything within Adam, within Abraham, to reject this son called earth, this dirty side, this wrong guy, this bad son. Now, I just jumped into the high priest there, and I might have left you behind a little bit. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. This is why in the prodigal son, it is the father. After a revelation, it is the father that runs down the way to bury his face in the neck of the son, and he weeps and receives him back. All of the while, the eldest son, the firstborn, with the father's blessing, looks on in disgust. The heart of the father has changed toward the son, and it is not the other way around. It's not the prodigal son that realizes, no. It's the father that realizes that he cast that son out. It's the father that squandered his wealth, not the son. So the man, with a partner, a helpmeet, his mind, with a knowledge in that mind of the word, a father who decides what to speak and to say to govern his house, a high priest, a new thing appears within him that he exalts and he loves. It's called authority. Now we get to King David. Oh, now he has authority in what he decides to speak and bring to God. This is an understanding that is born to put upon a throne called David, pure authority. These are revelations that we come to. A father with a wife, a father with two sons, a powerful decision-making ability within himself. Now he knows his authority, but what will he speak and say now? This father, this Adam, has a divided house. His mind is in rebellion. His sons are a wreck and despise each other. And guess what? He did this. Why? He lost control of who and what he was. He went into darkness because he didn't know himself. And you cannot know you when you seek to hide 50% of you, and even worse, refuse that unseen part. with your own voice. So he's getting along now, this Adam, this father, this husband, this high priest, this authority figure. He's getting along now, and yet is still bothered inside by all of this. And then they begin to speak from within him. They begin to speak and creep up. The mysterious whisperings that begin to address the problem, the man, the Adam, the father and his wife and children, the problem that they're having in their house. They appear on the scene. Glock and Spiel. They appear. Many of them, one after another. And as they appear, they are sought for death. They are put to death. And who appears? The voice and voicings of the prophet. He is this nagging voice. He has a long season of many nagging voices, Adam does, and these you know as the prophets. The voice from the wilderness. What's the wilderness? Earth. These nagging voices come from within this Adam, and they promise him, I will heal your land, I will fix everything, I will make amends, I will cause unity, I will bring back into one from two, I will bring the two back into being one, and will do everything for you that you never knew how to do, no matter what you tried to do. I will be the one that will make replace what the palmer worm and the canker worm and all that blah, 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 blah we hear all the time when people prophesy and don't have a gift. These nagging voices, these voicings, they come from the wilderness. But the man, the father, his sons, they all kill this voice from within. Why? They don't believe the voice. And what they believe only pertains to themselves, to heaven, and heaven only, earth. The prodigal son, he will not have a part in any of this if earth has its way. Well, finally this voice, this prophetic voice with all the promises, is allowed to come forth and to be seen, and his name is called Jesus. But what they don't understand is that this is the voice of earth that has been slammed into a grave and destroyed like a dangerous animal, unwanted and filthy. But it is this very voice that has the answer for this father, this heaven, this mother, this high priest. This voice and this name is above all other voices and names. So when this Jesus, this prophetic voice, Adam has heard all of his life from within him, whispering, when he is born at the lowest, most base area, in earth. That's where he's born, in earth. Jesus wasn't born in heaven. Haven't you ever celebrated Christmas? Seen the nativity? He's born in the lowest, most base area amongst the filthy, unclean beast, which is the knowledge of imperfection. That's where the voice is born. He's born in a manger. He is given birth in the earth, not in heaven, for he is the voice and the word of earth. A manger, just by the way, is a crib for fodder. It says in the Greek, fodder. What's fodder? Food, feed. The voice, the prophet, the word itself is born where it needs to be born in the earth, in the mouth. And the mouth is for what? Feeding who and what you are to you. A crib for fodder is the mouth that you will feed yourself with and give yourself drink from. A birthplace of the Savior, the Son of God, is born in the mouth that feeds. And who does this voice hang around with? Everything earth is, swine, tax collectors. Oh yeah, the voice is now causing all of these unclean things within you to be seen, heard, and awakened. So of course the Father himself seeks to end the life of this Son. Oh yes, it was the will of the Father that Jesus died, and nobody can figure out why he would be so brutal. Are you kidding? This Son was not wanted, earth, and we don't want to hear from him. So his word must be crucified. This Son would put the Father and all that he was right in the front of his own face. And this Father dislikes this earth Son because he knows this earth Son is a reflection, a representation, a manifestation of who and what the Father is also. And this is unwanted, just like you don't want to look at the earth side. You just want to see the heaven in you. You don't think the Father of heaven and earth did not want to do away with the voice of the earth? Oh yeah, he did. He kept the firmament and called it heaven, the voice of heaven. And when this voice of the earth came along, he was going to have to listen to the voice. But that voice did not have a testimony of I am perfect. He was going to be the verbalization and the eternal life of the knowledge of all that earth was. And he didn't want the dirty to live forever. He just wanted the clean to live forever. Oh yeah, the Father wanted to put an end to him. Why? That's now you can understand Isaiah. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living, heaven. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. What put him to grief? This voice of earth put him to grief. He didn't want to hear of his problems. He didn't want to hear of his downtrodden ways. He didn't want to hear the voice of sadness. And when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. What does all that mean? That means, oh yeah, I'm glad not to say I'm dirty and accept that I am dirty. So that voice, I'm going to crucify, and it pleases me. I don't want to, all that, what's that mean? I don't want to acknowledge this stuff that I am earth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him, semicolon. He hath put him to grief. What? It pleases me to shut earth down because earth bothers me. Because it represents everything I'm not supposed to be represented by. And who says that? Heaven. And so the second son, the earth son, and his voice are then known to be dead to the Father. Dead to the Father and to the other son. That's why they're a big shock when the prodigal comes back and speaks. But what? The nagging voice, and this nagging voice says, you realize, right? You can't escape what must happen. You must love both sons regardless of your judgments of one. You must make friends with yourself and peace with yourself, and it will never happen until all that belong in your house are accounted for and understood and are re-diagnosed and receive a new judgment upon their heads, until both the firstborn and the secondborn are equally blessed and receive the Father's blessing. You are the father of it all, and you will be in torment until this happens. Your house is simply out of order. It's divided. It won't stand. That's why you're crippled, blind, deaf. So finally, after kicking against the pricks, the knowledge that this word of earth, this voice of earth, must be cut loose, and allowed to go into the earth, and raises it to raise it to newness of life, and to be forgiven of all the shame it was blamed for causing, and on and on and on and on and on. The voice rises, and the rising of this voice does really one thing, or it can be said in one word: the rising of this voice from earth heals. And the lesson for the Father is that what is spoken causes your own spiritual and mental and internal illness, mental illness, loneliness, and on and on. For it is Jesus, the voice of the word that would never be allowed to be spoken and then consequently heard. We find that there is great love and compassion and care and teaching and enlightenment. When the unwanted part, the undesirable part is heard, he is then known for the true beauty from within him. And who does not love the within beauty when it is discovered over the external judgment of what you look like on the outside? It's the within beauty, isn't it? And what is the beauty of this Jesus to this Abraham, this father, and his God, his word? The beauty is that the Son forgives the Father for how he was treated by the Father and holds nothing against him. And this is all within you. So I told you it was all just backwards and opposite of what we've been taught. Even heaven comes to know true forgiveness and compassion and care for the younger. For heaven had its voice, the firmament. The heaven voice was the Father's, and it was an acceptable voice. He had the firmament. He had the Word. The same power that divided the house now conjoins or consolidates the house back to one house with one voice. And when all in the house that you are come to the revelation that the side of you that you cast away into the grave and crucified that voice, when it comes together that the earth side has more beauty than the heaven side, this is how it is revealed in Scripture. This is the day of reconciliation. This is the day of a new judgment. Where? In the earth. And where does the judgment come from? The earth. And what does the earth do? It forgives heaven for how it has despitefully used him and treated him. It's the dirty side of you that you condemned, forgiving you for treating you like you treated you. The ministry of reconciliation.
Subscribe for free and share the podcast from abeljosephson.com.